Hi, so we are continuing from the part 1 of basic Linux commands, and in part 1 we learned about the Linux file system, and we also learned about using commands such as cd to move into a new directory. So now we want to go into the root folder, and firstly we need to check, we want to go into the home folder rather, so we have to see where we are. Currently we are in root, so we do cd/home. Now we're in the home directory. If we do an ls, we can see which the folder of the user that has been created. So if we do a cd onworks, we go into that folder, we do an ls, and then we find the folders there. Then we do a cd desktop. We want to go into the desktop, and then we see what's on the desktop. There's nothing, so we want to create a file. So let's do touch my file. Okay, then we also want to create a folder. We do make mk directory my folder. Okay, so if we do an ls, we will see all those files. We can also do an ls-l, which will show us more information about those files. So what we now want to do, we can also use clear to clear the screen if you're running out of space. So that clears the space, but it does not change anything. We are still where we were before. So now we want to, in the first part 2 basic Linux commands, we learned about moving a file from one directory to another. So the file is currently sitting in the desktop folder, but we want to move it into the my folder. So instead of moving, this time we want to copy it. So in order to copy a file, we do a copy. Copy is cp, and then with the name of the file. Since you're already in the directory file desktop folder, we just have to write the name. But if we're in a different location, then we'd have to write the full path, which would be / which is root. We start from root, and then we go into the home folder, then we go into the onworks folder, then we go into the desktop folder, and then we reference our my file. So this will be the full path regardless of where we will be in our operating system. After putting the name of the file, then we put the location as well as the new name of the file to where we want to move it. So we just want to move it to the my folder. So since we are already in the desktop folder, we just go into the my folder directly. Otherwise we would have used the longer path like what we did before, and then we'll call it my file again. We can give it the same name. When we press enter and we do an ls, you see we still have the my file copy there because we created a copy. So if we do a cd into the my folder, we should now see, and we do an ls, we should now see the file my file. Now the file is still empty. If we do cat my file, it's empty. We did not write anything. So to write something, we use vi, then the name of the file. Okay, that opens the file. Once the file is opened, we press I, and then we type something. My name is Taku. Welcome to my world. All right. Then, as we said before, the shortcut to save this is you first press escape, and then you do shift ZZ. So that should save the file. Now, if we do cat my file, again, we should see it with my name is Taku. Welcome to my world. So let's also look at a new command, remove. So if you want to delete the file, let's say we are in let's go back to the desktop folder and get out of the my folder. So if you want to go back one step in the folder hierarchy, you just use cd dash dot. So as you can see, we're in the my folder. Now we are on the desktop folder. So if on this desktop folder we have got that my file folder, and we want to delete it. So the way you delete a file is to use the remove command, which is rm, then you put the name of the file. Okay, then the name of the file. So the name of the file, remove my file. If you press enter, it would have deleted my file, and when you do an ls, the file is no longer there. If you want to delete a folder, if we do remove my folder, it will refuse to remove that folder because it requires you to put some parameters. So you may have to do remove -rf, which will mean remove recursively whatever is in there and force that removal, and this will delete that folder. So if we do an ls now, you will see that on the desktop we now have no files. So let's just quickly recreate those files. Make directory let's call it new directory, and then touch new file, okay, so that we can use these files later. Okay, so now we want to let's type something within that file again. Vi new file. So let's just say welcome to my world. Okay, this is great. Okay, so we have saved that file. So we want to search within the desktop folder for a file that contains the word that has got the name new file. So what you do is you say find, that's the command, find, then the name of the file or the shortcut of the file. So you can say find new. Okay, it doesn't find anything like that, but if you say find new file, because it exists, it finds that new file and it's within the same folder. If we move into a different folder, let's say we move into root, so find helps you to find a file within the same directory. But if you want to find a file outside of that directory, use the command locate. So if we are in the root folder, that means we are very far away from the desktop of ONOX. So we use the command locate. It will search the operating system for any file that matches that word, that name. So if we say locate new file under root, it will search the OS and then try to find that file. But in this instance, it didn't find that file. Okay, we'll come back to that. Then let's do grep. Let's go back into the slide, into the ONWX desktop. Okay, and then we do a cat of our new file. So it's written welcome to my world. This is great. So if we are in a folder and we want to find maybe we want to find every file that has got a certain name. So let's create another file, touch, and we call it an old file, right? So now we have two files, new file and old file. So if we want to find a file that has got the name new in it, then we do we can actually just say list, right? All files. So we use the command grep. We want to list, but we only want to list the files that contains new in their name. So you'll find that it will return new directory and new files because that's what's matching the new parameter. We can also say we want to match any file that has got the name file in it, and in this instance it will return the new file as well as the old file. So that's how grep is used. It's used to search specifically for something within a folder. Okay, now if you want to read probably the first 10 lines of our file, let's say you want to read the first 10 lines of the new file, what you do is you use the command head -n 10 new file. Okay, yes, so what head means read the first, -n means the first 10 lines of the file, new file. But since our file only has one line, it will only display that one line. Let's just say our file has got, we want to read the first 100 lines, then you just change here and you put 100, so it will read the first 100 lines. But because you only have one line, it will read that one line. Then if you want to read the last n number of files, last n number of lines in a file, then you use the command tell. So instead of using cat, you use tell -n, which gives you the number of lines you want to read. So I want to read the last 10 lines in the file, and this will show you the last 10 lines. But since again we have one line, it will show us that line or that one line. But you can try it, put multiple lines in one file, and then use the head and tell commands. Then if you want to see the processes that are running on your computer, you can use the command top. Okay, so if you type top, it will show you the processes that are running on your computer, as well as the CPU and memory utilization. So top is mainly used for CPU, for resource utilization checks. So here you want to see how much CPU you are using. So we can see 99.2% of our CPU is idle. We are using about, I could say 1 gig, if I'm not mistaken. This is in kilobytes. Yeah. So using about 1 gig of about 5 gig of memory that the computer has. And if you really want to see how much memory your computer has, so we just press Ctrl C. So you can actually just do a cat /proc version version /memory. Okay. So if you do a cat, just a moment, cat /proc /mem_info, okay, that should show you the memory, the information about the memory. But if you just want the total, then you just say grep again, which you just want to see the total of memory that you have on this computer. Just say grep mem total. So this is the total amount of memory that we have, which is about 3 gigabytes of memory. That's how you see the amount of memory. For the amount of CPU you have, you just use CPU info. So it's also cat /proc /CPU info. So it will show you the number of cores that you have. So this one seems to have, I think it's 1. There's quite a number. Yeah, so you can also use this one to see the number of cores that your computer also has. Then if you want to run again a command that you've ran before, you use the history command. Okay, so the history command lists the commands that you have already run on your computer before. So if you want to rerun a command, let's say you want to rerun the command top, which is on number 46, what you do is you use an exclamation mark, then you take number 46 as the number for the command that you rerun, and then you press enter. So what it does, it will run top again automatically for you. So here top is running, and if we get out of that mode, if we do history again, we'll see we can actually run C on line number 35, move to the root folder. So again, exclamation mark number 35. Right now we're in the desktop folder. So if we do exclamation mark 35, now we are in the root folder. And again, line number 37 can take us back into the root folder, into the desktop folder. So that's how history works. Okay, so let's say you also want to change the name of your computer. So right now our computer is called localhost. So you can change the name of the computer by using the command hostname. Okay, and then you put the name that you want. So hostname Taku D will become the new hostname. But I have to be root in order to do that. So in order for you to change, right now my username is onworks. I'm not root. So to become root, I use the command su then dash. Okay, and then it will ask me for my password. And then after entering my password, now I'm root. What can show you that you're now root is there's a change in the symbol here. Now we have a hash, and before we had a dollar. So hash means you're now root. And if we do hostname Taku D, it should change my host name. But this will only be affected after you have done a reboot of the machine. Okay, so now when you do a uname -a, it's a way of checking what the host name is. As you can see, the host name now is Taku D. Also, if you want to make the host name permanent, you go into the /etc/host name file. Okay, now as you can see, that's the host name. The current host name is localhost.local.main. So if you reboot your server or your machine, this Taku D name will be rubbed and replaced by this one. So we have to replace that name in the host name file. So we do a vi, we move from root into the etc folder, and we open the host name file. And then from there we press I, then we edit this. So this is the domain name. The second part doesn't matter. What matters is the first part, but you can rub all of them. So you can actually rub all of them, and then you write taku d as your new hostname. Then you save that. So when you do a reboot of the machine, you should be able to see the new hostname come into play here. Then let's say you want to create a new user. So you need to be root. Root has got all the privileges in the computer. A root account can do anything. So if you want to change the privileges of any other account or of anything, you go into the root folder. So let's say we also want taku d to have root privileges. So what you do is you use the command vsudo. Vsudo is giving root or administrator privileges to the taku account. So in this instance, we're looking for the area where we will enter the information. Okay, so we just scroll down. Okay, so we come here, allow, as you can see, the comment here saying allow root to run any commands anyway. But we also want to do that for another user, which is onworks. We want onworks to also run with the same, with all privileges. So we come in here and then we say we put the name onworks. Okay, just a moment. You put the name onworks, then we do O equals O, then O. So this will allow the onworks user to run all commands, but the onworks command user will always be asked to enter a password before running a privileged command. So to avoid asking for that password, we use the no password command or flag here. So what we do is we write here no password semicolon. Then we save that. Okay, let's go back again. So the file is now logged because we did an irregular exit. But anyway, that's how you do a vsudo. You don't have to put the no password flag at all the times. You can actually remove it and just save the file as it is. Then if you want to create a new user, you use the command user add or add user, depending on the operating system. So on this one, we can say user add taku. Okay, and when you press enter, a user called taku has been created. We can also do, let's see if add user work for this computer. So the difference is add user now, it's saying taku already exists. So if you say add user Tinei, it also creates a user Tinei. So to see the users that have been created, we read what is called the password folder. Okay, so we can see now we have got a user taku and we have a user Tinei. And if we go into our home folder, we now have two folders created for, we should have cd into home, and then we do an ls. Then we should see the new folders for taku and Tinei that have been created. So these are now new users, and if we want to set the passwords for those users, we use the command password taku. So we now want to set the password for taku. The password I've entered is quite simple, that's why it's saying it's a bad password, but it's still accepted. And then if we want to set the password for Tinei, we use the same command password, then the user name Tinei, then we enter the password. Okay, so we've entered the password and it has been successfully saved. And then if you want to delete a user, you just do user del, then the name of the user taku. And these things can only be done by someone with root privileges. Now if you want to check for a process that is running and you want to kill it, to check for a process you do ps minus aux. So this lists all the processes that are running on the computer. So we want to kill this vsudo process which we failed to kill before, or which we failed to close appropriately. So we can see this is the process ID, this is the user who is running that process, and this is the process ID 5969. So if you want to kill that process permanently, we just say kill minus 9, then we put the process number 5969. Okay, so now we have killed that process. And if we do a ps minus aux, and we specifically just want to see if the process 5969 is still running, we use grep and a pipe, and then as you can see it's now running, but it's no longer it's running, and it's no longer the process that's running. So this is a number for something else, not the process. This is the process number. So as you can see, that process does not exist anymore, so it has been killed. If we do a vsudo, we should now be able to enter, but there are all these things, conditions that exist due to that irregular closing of the file that we did before. So we can come here and we can check our users. Yeah, so we can actually add onworks. Sorry, I'm supposed to press I first, then do start editing. Onworks O equals O, and then do skip shift Z. Now it has saved. So if we go into, if we do SU, which means switch user into onworks, okay, we will not be asked for a password since we are root. If we go in here and then we do maybe we want to delete a user, right? So if we do a user delete tna, permission denied. So we don't have permission yet to be able to do this, because we are not the vsudo has not taken into effect. So what we will do is, let's go back and become root again. So as root, we can actually do a user delete, then tna, and the user would be deleted. So if we do a cat, we go into the password folder, you see that we no longer have taku and we no longer have tna. We have deleted those users. Now at times maybe your network may be acting up and your network services are not running well, or it could be your SSHD service or whatever service that is not running well. So you may need to start it, stop it, or restart it. So what you do is you use the command service. So let's say we want to restart the network service, we do service network restart. So that will restart the network service. Okay. If you do the service SSHD restart, it will restart the SSH service. We can also, instead of restarting, you can start, stop, and stop services at your will. If you want to see the OS version of this computer, let's say this is a CentOS computer, or a Red Hat computer, sorry. So what you do is you run the command cat/etc/Red Hat release, okay? And it will show you which release of Red Hat. So this is Red Hat Enterprise release 7.5. But this command differs on different machines. For example, if it's a SUSE machine, it will say /etc/SUSE release. If it's CentOS, it also uses Red Hat release. So it depends on whether it's Ubuntu, it's whichever machine. You just have to do what is for that machine. But basically, the command and the path you follow is the same. So if you want to add DNS servers to your computer, so you want your server or your computer to use certain DNS servers, whether it's 4.2.2 or it's using 8.8.8, you can do that by editing the resolve.conf file. So how do you do that? Let's first view the file. It's cat/etc/resolve.conf. Okay. if you go into that file, you can see we've got these two name servers or DNS servers, and we want to put new DNS servers in there as well. So we do a vi into /etc into the root folder into etc, then we open the resolve.conf file. When we open it, we press I for us to edit it, then we put our new, and so we can actually remove these, but we want to keep them there. So we'll put our new name server there, so that will become one of the DNS servers that you use for your machine. I think that's all we have for now on basic Linux commands. The rest will cover as we go on, and it's up to you as well to be able to look at what else there is to learn. Thank you.